I thought I knew what happiness was. Back in the West, it's basically a checklist, right? The career, the car, the fierce independence. I'd tick the boxes, but I wasn't happy. So I came to the Philippines chasing postcard beaches, something to liven up my Instagram feed. But I left with something I could never capture in a photo, a totally new definition of joy. This is how the Filipino people, with their incredible sense of family and community, completely shattered my Western ideals and taught me what it really means to be happy. For years I was playing by a rule book I didn't write. The picture of a good life was clear. Climb the corporate ladder, get more stuff, and above all, never depend on anyone. Happiness was this thing you got after all the hard work, an individual trophy. My world was all scheduled catch-ups and polite nods to neighbors I barely knew. There was this constant feeling that when it came down to it, you were on your own. It was a life of striving, not arriving, of accumulating, not appreciating. And honestly, it was leaving me feeling hollow, like I was playing a game without knowing the rules. So I bought a plane ticket. The first crack in my perfect little worldview didn't happen on a beach. It happened at a dinner table. A few weeks into my trip, a local I'd befriended, someone I barely knew, absolutely insisted I join his family for his grandmother's birthday. That evening I walked into a small, buzzing home filled with laughter and at least 20 people. There were 3, maybe 4 generations all under one roof. The respect everyone showed the grandmother, the Lola, was something else. Toddlers and teenagers would instinctively take her hand and press it to their foreheads in a gesture called mano. It wasn't a chore, it was a reflex, this beautiful, ingrained sign of love and reverence for elders. Where I come from, we often see multiple generations living together as a problem, a sign that someone failed to launch. Here, it was the foundation. I learned that for many Filipinos, sacrificing for the family isn't a burden, it's their purpose. This idea of pagpapahalaga sa pamilya, or prioritizing family, means that your personal goals are woven into the well-being of the whole group. Sitting there in all that joyous chaos, I realized my definition of family had been way too small. My education didn't stop at the family's front door. Out in the community, my Western-style individualism was about to collide with a cultural force so powerful, it has its own word: bayanihan. I saw it happen during a sudden tropical downpour. A street vendor's cart tipped over, spilling fruit all over the road. Before I could even really process it, people rushed out from nearby shops. Total strangers, without saying a word, just started picking up mangoes. They helped the vendor right his cart, saved his livelihood, and then just melted back into the rhythm of the day. No discussion, no expectation of thanks. This spirit comes from the concept of kapwa, which is this idea of a shared identity, of seeing yourself in everyone else. It creates a deep sense of empathy and compassion, or malasakit. I came from a world where you might not know your next-door neighbor's name, where asking for help feels like admitting defeat. Here, leaning on each other is a source of strength. The last piece of the puzzle, the thing that tied it all together for me, was faith. The Philippines is a deeply spiritual country, and that faith isn't just for Sundays, it's in everything. It's in the phrase bahala na, which people often mistake for whatever happens, happens. It's actually a profound statement of faith that's closer to, I'll do my absolute best, and I trust God to handle the rest. This deep-seated faith creates an incredible resilience. I met people who had very little in terms of material wealth, but had this spiritual richness that you could almost feel. This outlook gives birth to a concept that completely rewired my brain. Mababaw ang kaligayahan. The literal translation is shallow happiness, but it's anything but. It means finding immense joy in the simplest, most everyday things. The Filipino smile isn't a sign of ignorance to hardship, it's a symbol of resilience. It's an act of defiance against despair, and an invitation to share in a joy that comes from deep within. This journey from just seeing things to truly understanding them has changed my life. It forced me to question the entire definition of a good life that I was raised with. And it makes me wonder, what does happiness look like for you? I came to the Philippines looking for beautiful beaches, and I found them. But the beaches aren't why I was transformed. I left a piece of my old self there, somewhere between a crowded family dinner, a community coming together in the rain, and the sound of laughter in a church courtyard. I learned that happiness isn't a solo expedition, it's a team sport. It's not about building walls of independence, it's about building bridges of connection. It's not found in accumulating things, but in appreciating moments. The Filipino culture, with its unbreakable pillars of family, community, and faith, didn't just show me a different way to live, it showed me a different way to be. It taught me that the wealthiest people in the world aren't those who have the most, but those who need the least, because they already have everything that truly matters. And for that lesson, I will be forever grateful.